All right, let's get started. Hello, my name's Amy King. I am the Digital Officer for YWCA Scotland, the Young Women's Movement, and I'm absolutely chuffed to be joined by Heather Offord this afternoon. I guess the best way to get started is tell us a bit about yourself, Heather.
Okay, hi. So I'm Heather Offord and I live in Glasgow. I'm originally from Oban and my background's been in hospitality and sales for the last, well, I started working part-time when I was 13, so 20 plus years. So yeah, so my background basically is I started off working in a hotel and I did everything, to be honest. I cleaned the dishes, I cleaned the toilets, I served, I cleaned the rooms. And it was a complete chance that my brother wanted a job and he didn't know how to ask for one. And I was like, it's totally cool. You just phone them up and you do this. And I got offered a job. So that's how I started working. So I now own a company, One for Events, and that's all based on my experience between then when I was 13 up till now. So I've gone through various different roles. So I started off, I went away for a year after school because I hadn't a clue what I wanted to do. So I wasn't that driven person that knew when I leave school, I'm going to go to uni, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I hadn't a clue. So when I was in 6th year, what I did decide was that I would go and do a year out. I'll do a gap year, so at least I'll be doing something worthwhile, and maybe I'll have some like crazy, idea of what I wanted to be after that, which I didn't. I hadn't a clue. So I went to Caribbean for a year, did voluntary work, and I came back and I had no idea what to do. At this point, all my friends had left, and I decided to move to Glasgow because that's where they all were. And I started working in the Central Hotel, and that was before it was the nice Central Hotel that everybody knows now. It was when there was holes in the carpet before it shut down and got a refurb. And it was quite you had to basically do show rounds of the different rooms and stand in the holes in the carpet so the guests wouldn't see them. So that was my first experience into sales and events in Glasgow. And then I moved on to the Holiday Inn, which is no longer there. I think it's now being built as offices, which is all stopped now with COVID. And then on to the Crown Plaza, and then as events manager in the Thistle Hotel. So I've gone on different hotels, and in between those, I've sold health and safety training courses, which was a bit of a tangent, which was the worst job I've ever done. And then I did sales training for bars and nightclubs through the UK for a company as well, including the Sports Cafe, which is gone now, so not everyone will know where that was. And then I got pregnant and decided that doing 60, 70 hours a week in hospitality wasn't really doable with a kid. So I went back part-time and I went to work for G1, who owns most of the bars and restaurants in Glasgow and Edinburgh, to be fair. So even if you don't know who G1 are, you will know the Corinthian, Arta, Social, loads of bars. So I did there and did sales and marketing for them, and then I managed Corinthian, Arta, Trades Hall, the casino, did some work in the estate. But again, I started creeping back up to the 70 odd hours a week, and it all came to a head maybe when I was early 30s, and I went to hospital with pneumonia during Christmas. I actually went in on Black Friday, which is the busiest day of the year for hospitality. I think they must have been thinking I was totally chancing it. But yeah, I was in hospital and decided at that point that enough was enough. I'd done 20 odd years in Glasgow in sales and marketing and events that I'd have enough contacts, I can go and do it myself. However, we even started school at this point, and I decided maybe I'll go and work for my mate who's a general manager at Brown's and do part-time there. And I really liked it. It was really good. And I put my notice in to start my own company and stayed for another 3 years. So eventually in the background, I started doing my own company, and it actually started as a kids events company. And yeah, my mate that was a GM, he left. I had difference of opinions on things with the new one, and I decided, right, it's time to go. So I just put my notice in. I left within a week. And yeah, I hadn't actually done a sales plan or anything at this point for my company. I knew roughly what I wanted to do, but I was going into the worst possible time for events. We were going into the summer holidays. I had, my daughter was off school. Events pretty much stopped in the holidays. And yeah, that's when I started. So that's how One for Events came about. And that was last May. So
Oh wow, so you've just had your 1 year anniversary then, not that long ago.
yeah, so I actually registered the company in 2017 and did nothing with it. The plan was to go sooner, but I was really enjoying the job I was doing, and it fitted really well with childcare and schooling hours and everything. And I didn't quite have the confidence, to be honest, just to go for it. It took a disagreement from me to actually do it. So, and I kind of wish that to an extent I'd done it earlier, or maybe made a better plan. But yeah, by the end of last year, I'd found out exactly what we were good and not good at, and had totally pivoted what we were going to do. Taken on a member of staff, and I had one member of staff that worked with me 2 days a week, and I had another 10 members of staff that worked full-time jobs but did weekend work with me for the kids' events. And it all found its way, and we were doing really well right before COVID hit. So yeah, so that's my background. That's where One for Events came from. But yeah, effectively, we would have had maybe our 1 operating year anniversary in lockdown.
That's amazing. So, I mean, so much coming from that. First of all, I'm also from Oban, so this is a revelation. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Well, I'm from Tunnell, just outside Oban.
So. Yeah. My mum's from Oban, and yeah, I spent most of my childhood in Oban.
No way. I never meet anyone from Oban.
So this is just excellent. But I mean, there's so much that you said there that I find so interesting, especially in the context of this series that we're doing, Scotland with Skills, where we're talking about women's employment experiences and women's skills, and how women understand their own self-value and the worth of the skills that they have. And you said there that you didn't have the confidence, so you registered the company in 2017, but it took you years to actually get it off the ground. Yeah. So I'm wondering, so confidence was obviously a challenge. Mm-hmm. What were the other challenges? I suppose that you had so much else going on. Can you maybe talk a bit more about the challenges that you faced, and how you did overcome them, or how you're dealing, especially with COVID now? Like there's just a whole new plethora of challenges.
Yeah, I mean, there's challenges right the way through, and if anyone tells you that it's going to be smooth running, it's just a lie, because once you get over one, you find another one. And COVID is the perfect example, so you couldn't have written that. So yeah, so when I registered the company, the reason it actually came about was when I was working in one of the venues, we wanted to introduce more families to the market, and we decided that we would do it by doing a charity event with the Glasgow Children's Hospital charity, and we'd get in a princess company, and everyone would have a big Sunday roast, and a princess would come and entertain the kids, and it'd be great fun. And we did it once. It sold out within a day, so we decided to do it every single week in this venue. But they decided they wanted to be child tolerant, not child friendly. Mm-hmm. So we stopped the events. But by this point, with such a good reputation, there was such a massive need for it in Glasgow that I decided I could do this on the side. This is something that I could keep doing. And that's why I registered the company. Now, that part of the company is called One for the Kids. So I just did that on the side. But the reason I knew that long term, I wanted it to be an events company in general. So I did One for Events, because you've got One for the Kids, and I thought we'll do One for the Adults as the other company, but it just didn't sound quite right. So I thought, we'll just go with events. That sounds safer. You just imagine what you might come up with in Google. So I thought, we'll go with One for Events. So I was still working at this point, and I just wasn't convinced that I had a clear enough aim or plan of what I was going to do. I was enjoying the job that I was doing. It was only part-time. It allowed me to do both. And I mean, you could say it was a bit of a cop-out. You know, I could have just gone and done it full-time, but I thought this is quite nice. I've got guaranteed pay coming in as well as growing this business on the side. And it was good. And I really liked the job. I knew I was doing a good job where I was. I didn't want to leave them in the lurch, and they were being so flexible with me that it just worked for everybody. So that made it easy for me just to tinkle along the background. And yeah, when it got to the point that, to be honest, like people I knew that I was really good friends with, a great team, when they all started leaving to just naturally to go on to do different things, I started seeing the people that I knew and that were keeping me there. I started to realize it was that group of people that was keeping me there. So when new people started coming in, and it was generally nothing to do with them, I didn't have the same dynamic to keep me there. And that's when I decided, right, I need to do this. I was at the point I was starting to do tons of hours again because my business was growing as well as where I was working. And the whole purpose in me starting my business was, if I'm going to do that number of hours, and I'm a total workaholic, so I'm always going to do tons of hours. And I realized that at least I'd be doing it for myself and I could be flexible. So yeah, so that first confidence boost came just naturally. So obviously the other big barrier is always going to be money. And it's always going to be money, because if you didn't have to pay bills, then most worries would go away. And they say money doesn't buy happiness, and it doesn't, but it takes away a lot of stress. Okay, if you don't have to worry about paying your bills, obviously that takes a heap of stress away. And also, so yeah, I was worried about giving up a salary. So, and also I just said that I went into it the worst time for events. So that didn't really help. And that first few months was terrible because there was no money coming in. There was absolutely no money coming in. And I'd booked all this time off with them, even during the holidays, and nothing coming in. But then it came to August and the market started picking up. And I realized, right, okay, that's fine. I now know there's going to be money coming in. But then the next hurdle came that someone had asked me to do their social media for them. And I was quite good in social media, but I wasn't an expert by any stretch of the imagination. I'd been doing a couple of things, but I'd been kind of contracting it out to somebody else and just taking a wee bit of profit. But it was it was a side bit to another contract with that client. So this girl that I had on was really good, and I thought, right, if we can grow that side of the business, and it's quite good for me to have someone else to work with. So we started taking on more accounts, which meant I had this member of staff then to pay for. And that gives you another level of fear, because you're now responsible for somebody. And it does, if you lose a contract and it's just you, it's your business, your responsibility, then that's fine, because it's you that won't get paid. But when you get someone else to pay, you can't, that's not really an option. You need to keep the contracts going. So then we kept growing the business. And actually from the August onwards, it was so busy. And then we built up a really good reputation for the social media. So we had loads of contracts coming in from that. We had loads of training. So again, you've got that another investment in the continuous training, especially in something like social media, because that just doesn't stop changing. So we had a lot of investment in that. And then Christmas came and we were inundated with bookings from venues. So we had to take on 10 members of staff to be Christmas elves. We had 7 Santas. And there was so much investment needed in the lead up to Christmas that we didn't have. So then you have to go and get money from somewhere and invest that, knowing that it'll come the other end. So yeah, there's that. Even once you start growing and you start being successful, there's always going to be another hurdle to get to the next stage. And it's that, when do you go to the next stage? And that's a constant fear. It's always underlying there, and you're never quite sure. You know you need to do it if you want to grow, but now and again you're like, well, maybe we'll just stay as we are at the moment. So anyway, Christmas was great. We got through Christmas. And then January came, and January is always a really hard month because, again, there's nothing going on. So we had sold vouchers at Christmas time, and that kind of got us through January a bit. And Christmas is a great month. If you get through Christmas and events, it will tide you over for the first quarter. So we were really lucky with that. And you get a lot of launches and stuff picks up again in February. And then you get to February, everyone's just like, January's done, we'll start investing in marketing. So you pick up more clients at that point too. So yeah, so we got to February and everything was going great. And it seemed to be ticking along really well. Our books for the year were looking amazing. And then COVID hit, and that was horrific. That's probably been the biggest hurdle, I suspect, for most people, to be honest. And that was, I'm not going to lie, like for the first 2 weeks, I've never cried so much in my life, because I literally sat. So we did, for all the events that we organise, that we sell tickets for ourselves, it's an Eventbrite, and we had to individually refund every single person. And we had about £5,000 worth of refunds to do. But my view was, those people need that money as much as I need money. It's not really mine to keep because I can't deliver on it. So it made it harder, that it took forever, because it's like, refund, send it through, send an email, refund it. And honestly, it took weeks to do it. And then we didn't know what point this was going to stop. So I was really aware that I had this member of staff. So we contacted all our clients and said, look, with your social media, what do you want to do? And if you're a bar and restaurant, let's cut it right down, but you want to keep it going a little bit so that you don't lose that momentum, because you will come back at some point. So we reduced down the packages for everybody, because we thought as well, when we come out of this, we want business at the other side of it. So we don't want to like try and take too much money off people and they've got nothing left at the other end. So we kind of thought about everyone else, and then at the end of it we thought, what do we have left now coming in? And there was enough that I actually took on the girl that was working for me, got her on an extra day and transferred some of the money I was paying myself to her, so that I knew she'd be fine. And also at this point I now had an 8-year-old at home 7 days a week, so I couldn't do as much. But that was a continuous worry, because you're sitting waiting to see every month that went by, you're then going, are we going to lose any more clients? Are we going to lose any more clients? Because when that happens, then there's going to be a tipping point where something's going to have to give. So we then we just had to pivot the business completely. Any events we were doing physically in venues, if we could do a version online, we did it. And that was really good. We did gin tastings, we did quizzes, we did kids parties. And then when you could get outside the 5-mile zone, and you could go into people's gardens, we have mascots, we have Woody and a unicorn and stuff. We started doing doorstep visits for kids parties. And actually, that was a plan to do it for kids parties, but we got more at somebody's anniversary, can you take them a bottle of champagne? At somebody's birthday, like a 30th birthday, can a unicorn go and do a dance at the door and stuff? So we started doing that. And then all the arts and crafts side, we made them into packs, and we did Princess Hero videos, did it through It Is On, so we managed to get them out. That was horrific. Making tons of packs, every day, hundreds of packs. Yeah. It's great for money. We made enough to pay us both for another couple of months, but it was a horrific job. I wouldn't do it again unless I had to. So yeah, there's that constant trying to pivot. And then, just as we thought we were coming out the other end of it, we member of staff that I had decided she wanted to leave because she'd got a full-time job, and it was with one of our clients, and it's a brilliant move for her. So at first that was a bit of a nightmare, because I'm just like, right, we've kept you on this whole time and now you're leaving. So, but actually it was when the schools were opening up again, so I could then get half my time back, and events still hadn't started. All the online stuff and the mascot visits to people's houses had died a death, because now you can do visits, you can go to pubs and restaurants. So suddenly we'd lost one part. So it's so long trying to get one part going, then it died. that I could then take on the work that she was doing as well. So now we're at the point where we're now fully booked, and I'm now back at that point to take someone on or not. So there's always something. There's always going to be something, and I think the only way you can say is like you just can't panic about it, right? Because at the end of the day, you can't change it. So you just need to work out, right, what's the pros, what's the cons, will it work this, will it not work that way? And we will need to take people on again, but once events really start kicking off, we'll do that. But at the moment I think we'll just tide along just now as we are.
Yeah, completely understand that. I mean, it's amazing to hear the kind of the resilience and the flexibility and the kind of like reactive work that you've had to do. I mean, over the entire year, like, learning the new business and figuring it all out, and you've done it with, such a positive mindset. I mean, look at you, quite happy to share your learnings, the ups and the downs, in equal measure, because you've got to be realistic about this stuff.
100%. I mean, I think that there's always going to be positives about working for yourself, because you can manage your time, and that's been the biggest thing for me, having a kid as well. And I had that proper mum guilt when I was working so many hours with someone else. I didn't see her. At least now I can pick her up from school and I can go for a bike ride and then go back to work at night time. So there's so many positives, but I just think it's not realistic to pretend there's no negatives. Right? The grass is not always greener, and there's always ups and downs. And I think sometimes you learn an awful lot more from the downside of it than the upside. So, well, you are right. You've got to look at it in a positive point of view, because you have to learn from it. You have to get over it. So as long as there's something you'll learn from it, and it just wasn't completely rubbish, then it's got a silver lining.
Yeah, I love that. I love that mentality. Okay, I've got another question for you. I mean, obviously the coronavirus was completely unprecedented in terms of like a kind of regular business plan and what the sort of things that you think are going to potentially be hurdles down the line. But all of coronavirus problems aside, what would you say was the hardest lesson for you to learn in starting up this business and really driving it forward?
I think I was a little bit gung-ho with it, to be honest. I think if I could go back now, when I first decided I wanted to run my own business, the advice I would give myself now was to actually go and get more support, professional support and help and guidance. I was quite lucky that my partner's always run his own business, so he helped me so much. There's so much I didn't know, to the point where when it came to my first lot of accounts, I didn't know what to do, and I got a massive fine for being late doing my accounts. I didn't have a clue, but my head in the sand. So I think the biggest learning curve was that I'm always being gung-ho about stuff, and I'm just like, I'm just going to go and do it, and we'll see what comes of it. But this is the one thing that I really think I should have taken a bit more advice on at the start, and I think I would have maybe progressed a little bit quicker, because I think there's so much help out there. You get Business Gateway, there's Young Enterprise, there's like Enterprise Scotland. There's just so much help in Scotland, particularly because Scotland is such an enterprising country. The level of people starting their own businesses in Scotland is so much higher than so many countries. So there is help there. So I wish that I had maybe gone on a program or something, or taken some of the free courses, just to actually sit and do a business plan, to know how to do a sales forecast. You do all these things in the jobs I had done before, but there's never the importance if it's not your money, to be honest. So I can do a forecast and I can do a profit and loss, but it's not my money, so it wasn't such a big deal. As soon as it's come out your bank account, your own bank account, suddenly it's a big deal. So yeah, I really would. I'd probably go on to, there's really good programs, like I think like Royal Bank of Scotland do one where it's like a mentorship, and they take you through all the different things you'll need to do before going into business. Do a business plan, have a bank account, know how to manage it, know how to approach people. I hadn't saved any money going into it either. I didn't take any funding. And actually, I'm now aware that for new starts, there's so many grants and funding out there. So while I was trying to do it organically, again, I probably could have done it a lot quicker had I gone and got just a small grant to even put things like websites together, and just get a bit more support where I needed it. I put off a lot of things that I didn't know how to do, and I half-heartedly, or not even half-heartedly, I really did things just trying to learn as I went as well. So I think anybody who really wants to do it, it's running your own business is great, you know, or it's not even running your own business, going into something new is really good, but actually take the time to properly plan it and actually go and look at the support that's out there, because there is an abundance of it now. And actually the COVID has got even more help there now. But going through all the support, so my company didn't fall into any help with COVID at all, funding. But having gone out and looked at it all, I've now realised how much support there is there for people. And particularly people in different diversities as well. So being a female, there is more support there than there is for males. You just need to go and look for it. And there's also so many business groups as well. I'm in the committee for the Scottish Women in Business, and the support being on that committee, it's a lot of work and it's all free, but the support and being in that group is great. There's the Glasgow Girls Club, and they're now a client, but I was in their business group before then, and it doesn't matter if you're having a really good day, really bad day, or you just need to answer the question, there's support there just from other people in the same situation.
That's amazing.
Again, that's all been this year I've kind of come across all this. And yeah, I think really the biggest learning would be go and do some research and do some planning and ask the question. And business networking is the best way as well, because there's such a diverse number of people there willing to help you, because most people have been through, you know, the same things. And particularly if they're further on in their field, then they will know how to help you or who to put you, you know, who to advise you speak to.
I think that's great advice. Like having that network or those different networks can be so reassuring, like having just one other person outside your house that you can just call up in a panic or fire them an email and, you know, have that connection. I really agree with that. I think networks are so valuable, and we forget that we can rely on the people that we've met and connected with, you know, across you know, different sectors as well.
Definitely.
I've got another question now. As part of Scotland Skills, we are running a panel talk because one of the stats when I was researching around women's experiences in employment in Scotland, comparing hourly earnings, women are still earning 13% less than men.
Yep.
So money's an awkward topic and we don't like talking about it.
No, people don't.
No. Did you struggle when you had to start kind of putting a monetary value on your services, on your products? Did you struggle with that? How did you overcome it? Or how do you find the confidence to ask for what your products are worth, to ask for what you're worth, you know, especially with it being your own business? It's a part of you.
It's the hardest thing, and I have this conversation with people all the time. So I hadn't a clue how to price things, to be honest. I knew I was good at what I did, and I knew that once I really learned what my strengths and weaknesses were, then if I could learn what that was, then I could have the confidence that that's what I would do. Because when I'm now doing my job, I know that I'm good at what I do, and I don't try and do other stuff because it's not my strength. And I think because I went into the company really quickly, I took on lots of different bits and bobs that really wasn't my strength. So I did it all really cheap. And I did it cheap because I just needed to get the money coming in. And I hadn't done, again, it's gone back to doing my research and planning. I hadn't done that. So while I've been doing the job for 20 plus years, I hadn't done it for myself. So I did it for other venues and I got a salary. So I didn't know what you actually charge people for it independently. And I like organized stuff for people that did the job I was going into. But again, I didn't know how much they were charging their clients. So I hadn't a clue. So the first hurdle I had to come across was to really pinpoint down what am I good at that I am confident in. Because you can't charge the right amount if you're not confident in what you're doing, because you can't, people know if you're winging it. They really do. It comes, or you'll be found out. You will be found out. So I didn't charge enough at all. And I think it comes to a point where you have to make a decision, because if you don't charge enough, but you run out of hours, you don't have enough money to pay stuff, but you don't have any time left, then you have to relook at what you're doing. So that's where it came to. I did that in January this year, actually. I was full. We had loads of business, but I was running out of time and I wasn't making enough money. And I was looking at what time we had left versus what was coming in, and it wasn't tallying up. So it was really, actually, I decided that we're going to put our prices up. I'd invested a lot more. I need more confidence in what we were doing. So I'd invested thousands of pounds in more training. And actually, some of it was a waste of time, because having done the training, I was like, I did know that. I did actually know that. That is actually what we're doing. But I needed someone else to tell me what you're doing is right. So it's okay to have those flaws and those doubts. And sometimes you just need someone else to tell you. And that's where that network and that support network is really important. So yeah, gone through that, I decided, right, we are good at what we're doing, but we're doing it so cheap. So we had a bit of a SWOT analysis and went out and, got the prices of what everyone else was charging, and realised that we were sitting quite low. We knew who was above us, who was below us, and we knew where we sat with our competitors. So then there's like, this is the pricing structure that we should be at. And if we don't have the confidence to be at that stage, then we need to go and figure out what it is we need to do to get to that. Hence all the training. So yeah, that happened. We decided what we're going to charge. And again, what was it? So I'm like, we can't put our prices up. We can't put our prices up. What we need to do is just stay as we are and just see what happens. So when we got the confidence that, we are good at what we do, then we weren't in a position in the economy. And that's makes a difference to you. The economy at the time makes a difference. If you're in recession, or if it's going up, or if something's popular, then you can change your pricing. There's always legalities in the way you do it, but if you can't just change your price just willy-nilly, because it'll go against some trading standards and stuff. But if you are actually too cheap, then you're going to be working and working and working. And there is a level as well, if you are too cheap, people don't have the confidence in you, because they can see that you're at the bottom level. And why are you at that? So they might go with you to start with until they grow, and they'll go to someone bigger. So it doesn't matter what level you're at, you just need to learn it, learn about your competitors, and find where you are, find out where you want to be, and do what you need to do to get there. So yeah, COVID hit, and we realised, right, we know we're higher, but we're not in a position, we're not going to do that to anybody. How when everyone's losing their jobs, can we go and say, actually, you've got to pay us more? So it got to the point, though, when people started coming out, kind of July time, we realised, actually, business was starting to pick up in some sectors, and people started to see that they needed to start investing. And a lot of companies did get grants through lockdown as well. So the business was there. At this point, I knew that my member of staff was going to be leaving. So I was like, right, we re-looked at the whole business and decided these contracts, like X, Y, and Z, I don't want them. That's not my strength. It was all beauty and it was all like all the nicety things. Now I'm not a girly girl really at all, and I thought I can't deliver the way like my member of staff was. So I said to them, look, business is changing, we're going more corporate. That is where our strength is going to be. And I thought, if I'm doing this myself again, then I need to go down where I'm 100% confident in. So did that, and then I thought, I'm putting my prices up. I won't do it for people I've had for a while. But any new clients on, I'm going to put my prices up. And that's what and they don't want to take it, that's fine. But I am not going to work all the hours. If you go and get a job, there's a minimum hourly rate that you'll take, right? So it's no different to working for yourself. If you look at the hours you put in and what that equates to, and it's much easier when you're working for yourself and you just give a price that it's really low. It's really low. It's never higher. It's always lower. So I worked out how many hours it would do to do each contract, and therefore what hourly rate do I want, and priced it at that. And I had 3 new clients come on in the month without even questioning it. And suddenly I was just like, oh, what am I doing? I should have done this sooner. So, but then, yeah, you have to get the confidence in yourself. And I honestly think the only way to do that is to decide where you want to be and how you want to get there. And set a goal. So I want to be here. So I'm here, I want to be here. I want to get to this point first. And I can afford to do that by going to get the training or the funding or whatever I need to do. And then this part here, I'll do next year. Because you can't do everything at once. You still have business to run. So I now run like accountability and goal setting and stuff as well as a side thing with different businesses and charities for free. And it's basically about learning how do you get to where you want to be. And it's not always easy. And it is the confidence side. And so yeah, how do you charge the right price? You need to have confidence in yourself, and you need to find what it is exactly you want to do. And sometimes that will take time. But a lot of it is you need to decide what it is and then get to it by doing training, by doing courses, getting funding, whatever it is it takes to get you to that point. That's the only point you'll be able to charge what you want to and still sleep at night. I mean, don't get me wrong, you can go in and charge a ridiculous amount of money and somebody will pay it. But if you can't deliver what that's worth, you won't keep that client and you won't have a good reputation. So confidence is the hardest thing. And I'm a natural worrier. I don't stress about things, but I will find something to worry about. And I'll wake up and I had our first events at the weekend there, and I've did a lot of time in lockdown to plan it. So I knew that it was all done. Yet I woke up in the middle of the night and had a nightmare that I couldn't find my shoe and I had to go to the event with one trainer on. So you will find things to worry about. And the last thing you need to do is put an extra pressure on yourself by charging more than you're ready to confidently. So yeah, the confidence to charge properly, I think, is having confidence in the ability of what you're doing.
I love that. I really appreciate that. And I think that kind of goes with just about anything. Like, yeah. If you want to do something, have the confidence to do it, and that always gets you there without necessarily all of the other steps, having been tread first. I think it's great life advice, but it's definitely great career advice.
But it's true. If you think of like I don't know, rock climbing, right? If you want to climb a massive cliff, you're not just going to go and do it in day one, having never rock climbed. You're going to kill yourself. So you need to go and learn how to do that, so you've got the confidence to go and do it. And that might mean you get lessons, you just keep on trying away until you learn it. You research, you do YouTube, or you get a community of people behind you that you can do it with. Doesn't matter what it is, you need to build your confidence to go and do something. So you are right, it does. It's good in business, but it actually works with most things.
Yeah, absolutely. That's just amazing. I'm really conscious of time, and I don't want to keep you much longer, but I just want to say thank you so much. I personally learned loads. I've taken stuff away from this to apply to my own life, but I think that, you know, for our community, that it's really, I think it's important to hear from women about their own experiences and how, you know, some of it will be so personal, but there will be bits that you can kind of translate to just about anybody's life experience.
Yeah.
So it's been really fascinating learning from you and hearing from you, especially with, you know, your kind of your year mark of trading and everything that you've kind of come up against. So thank you so much for sharing. If folk wanted to learn more about your business, maybe, you know, get in touch, where would be the best place for them to do that?
So predominantly through social media, to be honest. So we're on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and it's all at One for Events. So yeah, the company name seems a good idea, but it's one, the word, for the number, events. So that's always confusing. You get people doing one, write the word for, and it's a good idea at the time, but it's actually a really hard one. So yeah,
I'll make sure that we tag it on YouTube and in the blog as well, so people can find you. But
yeah, if anyone wants any help, or, you know, we do quite a lot of experience. People just want to come along and trial events and stuff, or yeah, they're more than welcome to. Work with quite a lot of colleges and stuff to help. So
amazing.
Yeah, there's lots of ups and downs. There's tons of ups and downs. There's still a million things that I haven't done that I want to do, I haven't got round to, but you do eventually get there.
Yeah, it's all about having the plan, I guess.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much. Yeah, this will be posted on our YouTube channel and through our blog as well, so people can find it, and we can link to your social medias there. Thank you so much for your time, Heather.
That's all. Thank you.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you. Bye.
And I'll stop recording.